Let's say you come across a problem that starts with the function shown here. Y equals x squared minus 3x minus 18. And the question asks, what are the zeros of this function? In other words, what values of x would make that whole function be 0? Well, the whole function is just y, and so what it's really asking is, what do I have to plug in for x to make y be equal to 0? In other words, to solve this equation here, 0 equals x squared minus 3x minus 18. Now I'm going to show you how you can do this using your calculator. The first thing we need to do is to enter the original equation. So we're going to go into the y equals screen. And we want to enter the equation x squared minus 3x minus 18. So I'll use this button here to enter an x, and then I'll push the x squared button to square that, minus 3x minus 18. Now I have the original function entered, and I'm going to go ahead and graph that function. There's a parabola that corresponds to the function that we want. I want to know, what number do I have to plug in for x in order for y to be 0? In other words, what are the x-intercepts of this graph? Where does this graph cross the x-axis? Well, one point is here, and one point is here. And I'd like to find the coordinates of those points. I can tell in this case by looking at the graph, it looks like this one is the point -3, 0. So if I plug in a -3 for x, I should get out a 0 for y. And over here, it looks like it's +6, 0. If I plug in a 6 for x, I should get out a 0 for y. Let's use the calculator to check that. If we push the second button, so that we're working with the blue menu shown above, and then the one that has the blue word calc above it, we'll pull up our calculate menu. And we see that one of the things we can calculate are the zeros of the function. That's option 2. I'm going to select that. Now in this case, there are 2 zeros of this function, so I have to ask my calculator for those 2 separately. What I have to do first is tell the computer where to look for the first 0, and we're going to look for this one first. I'm going to move my cursor to the left until I see a little x start coming up here. The question here says left bound. This means I want to put this little blinking dot to the left of the first 0 here. It doesn't matter where exactly to the left of that 0 it is, so long as it's to the left. And I hit enter. Now the question says right bound. And I have to move my cursor so that it's to the right of this 0, but not also to the right of this 0 over here. It's like I need to tell it, look only in this little range for the first 0. So that's the right bound. I'll hit enter again. It says guess. You don't need to worry about what your calculator is asking you at this point. Just hit enter again, and it finds you the 0 of your function. So this tells us that the point -3, 0 is one solution to our original function. In other words, when x equals -3, then y equals 0. Now we'd like to find the other 0 of this function. I'll repeat the process again. I hit the second button and then calc. I'm going to find the 0 of the function. Now this time, instead of looking for the 0 over here, I'm going to move my cursor to the right, and you'll see it come back up on the parabola. There it is. Again, I want to place it to the left of this 0 here and place enter. And then I'm going to place it to the right of the 0 that's just past where this other 0 is, and hit enter again. Again, the calculator says guess, and I just click enter. And it finds me this other 0 as well. It says that when I plug in 6 for x, then y is 0. These 2 points are on our original function here, and they are the zeros of the function, the 2 values that I can plug in for x to make y be equal to 0.